Hello, Daniel here and welcome back to the TFL 3. Today you join me here in Milan and we will be travelling back to London through France on the TGV network. This is the sixth and final part of a multi-part series where I travel across Europe. So if you enjoy the video, do go watch the rest of the series which will already be published. Anyway, let's get out of Milan. My first thoughts are that Milano Porta Garibaldi station is nowhere near as grand an entrance to the city as Centrale is. Come on, it is no comparison. But I don't have long here anyway, as I'll be boarding the first TGV of the trip to a place called Chambéry in the French Alps. I won't review each TGV individually because while I recognise that they are different, I find them similar enough that I'll mostly be repeating myself. The seats here are comfy enough, and there is also a tray. There's also this little footrest thingy which folds up, as well as these little bins here, and another one under the seat which I'm just going to open up now, so that's kind of neat. Now as my train passes through the wonderful Italian and French Alps, I need to have a rant about something because otherwise I will probably need to vent it all out at therapy. Unlike most of the other trains in this series, except the Nightjet for obvious reasons, as well as the Freccia Rossa to and from Rome, I did have to reserve a seat on all the TGVs. On the one hand, it did make sense, as none of the ones on which I travelled were exactly empty. But on the other hand, it made things more expensive for travelling on an Interrail pass, and it also made planning a lot more stressful about making an exact train. This became annoying later on in Lyon, when I booked my train from Parc Dieu, but was actually staying closer to Perrache, which are the two main stations in Lyon. I couldn't easily find a way to amend my reservation, and despite the journey being merely 8 minutes and having a valid train ticket, the Interrail pass, I had to trek to Parc Dieu to board, because otherwise I could have potentially been denied boarding or fined €250, even though I had a reservation for the entire rest of the journey. I genuinely can't think of an equivalent for somewhere like London, because we have London Terminals tickets, so you couldn't say get fined between Charing Cross and London Bridge. Really, it made life significantly more frustrating. Right, rant over, and we've passed into France now, and after a border inspection by some passport officials, I arrive at Chambéry. Now, there's very little to say about this place, so I'd rather talk about the day trip I then took to Annecy. That place is absolutely spectacular. It's on a TGV route direct from Paris, and I highly recommend. I visited on the advice of a friend, and it is wonderful. Honestly, the best that France has to offer, or at least that I've ever seen. I recommend going on a paddle boat across Lake Annecy if you can. That was a memory I won't forget in a hurry. Anyway, it's a short TER train trip to Lyon past some rather nice scenery, and it's time for one final night in the EU, overlooking Perrache station where I would have really liked to get my TGV from. While I was there, I had just enough time to ride the metro line that's also a funicular to the steepest metro station in the world at Croix Paquette on line C, with an incline of 17%. Also, the trams in Lyon look like beluga whales for some reason. Alright, now it's time to get the TGV from Lyon Parc Dieu. Now, boarding was significantly more difficult than it needed to be because they had ordered the train carriages wrong, so I stood in the complete wrong part of the platform for where my booked seat was, and I had to walk all the way down. That was annoying. The main difference here from the first one is that the train is double-decker, and this time I actually got to check out the catering. As we zoom up on LGV Sud-Est towards Paris, I ordered a drink from my seat, but had to go pick it up from the catering car, and it wasn't the most easy as no one spoke English, but eventually I got my order and went down to my seat, which actually reclines. One thing I should note is that I'm travelling on TGV InOui, which is the higher end TGV operator if you like, as opposed to Ouigo, which is the lower cost version. The reason I'm doing this is because while you do have to pay to reserve on TGV InOui, on Ouigo Interrail passes are not valid at all. That meant for me, who is travelling on an Interrail pass, that meant that TGV InOui was my only option. Soon enough, I arrive into Paris, and then swiftly leave Paris because I did not enjoy my time there at all. There were minor delays on the RER, and it was crowded and I had to wait 20 minutes in line to get a ticket, and the train wasn't comfortable, and also I saw 2 people get robbed. Unpleasant experience, but at least it wasn't me getting my things snatched. No complaints about leaving on my final train, and I wasn't able to book a Eurostar from Paris in time. Right, remember the foreshadowing in part 1 about not wanting to return to Lille? To a very dark station at Lille. Let's hope I don't need to come back here again. Yeah, I had to return to Lille. Only thing of comment about this train is that you have to push your foot onto a pedal to flush the toilet. Bit weird. But we're back here again. Yay! I still find the station somewhat dark and unwelcoming, especially in comparison to nearby Lille Flanders, but at least the immigration queue back to the UK was short, even though my Interrail reservation meant I had to have extra checks. Guess they really want that Lille loophole closed. Anyway, since I have another E320 home, which I already reviewed in part 1, I'll cut straight to crossing back through the channel and pulling back into St Pancras Station. As this is the end of the series, I've compiled a list of the trains that I went on, listed in order of how much I liked them. If you want to see a specific one in more detail, go back and watch the previous video about it. With that, we conclude part 6, and therefore this is the last episode of my Interrail series. I hope you enjoyed this video and the series. If you'd like to see more, then let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to make another one next time I travel across Europe. Thank you to our generous patrons and YouTube members for making this trip and the series possible. See you again soon!